Hello, welcome to this episode of the Guitar and Improvisation Podcast. I hope to bring you some tips and possibly inspiration for your practice and your efforts to improve things that have helped me along the way and continue to work for me as well as I develop. We're always developing as musicians. We're finding our craft. So today, as I discuss some of the current tunes we've been working on, including Lady Bird, and maybe some of the topics like the pentatonic scales, I want to emphasize the mastery of fundamentals. This can include understanding key signatures and understanding note collections, understanding the interconnectedness of melody, harmony, and rhythm. I'd like to start with an example here. Let's say we're playing some lines, coming up with some ideas for Lady Bird, and we're playing in C major, and the chord is C major. Right? And then we go to F minor 7, B flat 7. Okay, so let's say we're getting solid with which notes we're choosing. We have maybe a little understanding of the note collections, the tonal centers. If we have an idea that on, let's say, B flat 7, we could play something like a B flat 7 arpeggio maybe. Then when the progression goes back to C, we can maybe have the insight, as simple as it might seem, that when we are playing the last two notes of that arpeggio, F and A flat, that we have a really nice opportunity to land on G, right? So we have So when we understand a few fundamental things like the notes in a chord, we can decide how to kind of smoothly move over to our next chord change because we have our fundamentals in place and we can very quickly find a note that resolves in a really smooth way. So again, just having some really firm idea of the key of no sharps, no flats. Being able to play in that and hearing how those tones relate to a C major chord, and then working in the key of 3 flats and understanding how those notes relate to F minor 7 and B flat 7. We can have really informed kind of lines and have some coherent movement from one note to the next. Another area we've been talking about on the channel and on the website is the idea of mediants, submediants, both diatonic and chromatic. So understanding there that C major has a parallel minor of C minor. C minor having 3 flats. We can hear and see that this 2-5 in the key of 3 flats going towards its relative major can fit into that concept of the chromatic mediant relationship. Working in C minor once again, we can go a third below that to A flat major. And we can build a 2-5 in that progression as well. So let's compare that with the, of course, parallel major. And a third below that in the key is A minor. So we've actually just gone through a little bit of the progression there for Ladybird. So you can do a 2-5 in E flat. Okay, doesn't resolve to E flat, but that's okay. Back to C, and then a 2-5. In A flat. So then when improvising, we can kind of get a sense for the interconnectedness of these keys and how they relate to one another. Another really important concept in basic music theory is the secondary dominant. So towards the end of this progression, of course, we have our typical 2-5 in C major. So that gives us a D minor 7 and a G7. Now, just before that D minor 7, we have D7. Okay, and that is the 5 of the 5. But it just takes this short little detour to the minor. So get a little addition before the dominant. So 2-5. And then we can put 2 in front of that 5 of 5. So 2-5 in G, 2-5 in C. So the context of each one of these chords and how it relates to the key center of the tune in its entirety and how it functions on a moment-by-moment basis is really important to inform our lines and our improvisation. So here's a challenge for you if you haven't already done this before. See if you can play without any backing track or anything, no metronome or anything. Record yourself playing single lines and have the intention of spelling out the chord changes for that tune, and then listen back to the recording and kind of decide if you have achieved that or not, and then keep repeating that process. Once you feel that you can play these changes through in the standard key, play it in a few other keys. And if you have the time and energy, play it in all 12 keys. You'll find if there's anything vague that you're not picking up on in the standard key, you'll notice it very quickly when you play it in a different key. Then stop and go back and firm up that section of the tune. It's very important in jazz repertoire to understand really what's going on with the harmony and how things are functioning, if it is functional harmony, and kind of the relative nature of the harmony and the push and pull that we experience with notes and how they want to go to one place or want to stay in another place, things like that. And try taking the pentatonics and using them in the context of keys. Let's say we're trying to work at G7 to C. Pick 5 of the 7 notes that are in the key of C with G in mind. Get a G dominant pentatonic. This is a mode of D minor 6 pentatonic. When we omit 2 notes from the scale to isolate 5 notes, we have a melodic way of emphasizing the nature of the 5-1 with the Fa and T resolving to the Mi and the Do. And that can really help with the agility of moving to some of these different tonal centers when you're playing this really fast tune, Lady Bird. This is something that helped me out tremendously when working on giant steps and other Coltrane type progressions, and can really help out with just about any tune. But it really does help you find some agility on those fast tunes where you may be changing key very fast or very rapidly. Before we end here, just want to let you know that there is a video version of this podcast. It's available to members of the Lessons and Talks on the YouTube member area, subscribers of the Substack, study.fretprints.com, and to our members of the membership area at fretprints.com, where you can have all sorts of additional exercises with sound slice, the other videos, and live streams. And you can even watch this video when you sign up for our email newsletter as a thank you for joining and supporting the channel. You'll receive free lessons right to your inbox. All right, everybody. Well, I hope you enjoyed this talk. Again, the emphasis here in this talk is about mastering fundamentals. And then when you go to play lines, you might say, oh, wow, that was an enclosure, or that was a chromatic approach note, or any of these kinds of things that will tend to happen fairly naturally as you get deeper involved with the language and how you negotiate through changes. Well, enjoy your practice session, and I'll talk to you very soon.